This is Odd Thomas on your 31 spooky movies of Halloween. If you have not seen this absolute gem of a motion picture, you are missing out on a quirky, delightful, and occasionally heartbreaking film that's as hard to classify as the title character. It's based on the Dean Koontz novel of the same name, and let me tell you, it takes you on a ride that's equal parts supernatural thriller, dark comedy, and emotional sucker punch, a kick right in the you-know-whats, and I mean that in the best possible way. The heart of this movie is the late, great Anton Yelchin, who plays the title character Odd Thomas. First of all, yes, that is his actual name. Odd, yes, but that's also his name. No, it's not short for anything, and yes, the movie wastes no time making fun of it, which is part of the charm of this film. Odd is a fry cook in a small California town, but of course he's not your average small town guy. He's got this little problem where he can see dead people. And I don't mean like Haley Joel Osment, I see dead people. Ghosts come to him when they need help. And he just takes it all in stride. It's part of his life now. If you got a vengeful spirit who needs closure, no problem. Swarming dark entities foreshadowing some apocalyptic disaster, that's fine too. Odd's got it covered. The man's got a gift and a work ethic, and he's out there saving the world between flipping burgers. Right from the start, Odd Thomas is a mixture of light, snappy humor and supernatural intrigue. The movie doesn't waste time trying to be overly serious, even though, let's be real, Odd's life is pretty intense. Director Stephen Sommers, yes, the mummy guy, does a great job blending the comedic elements with the creepier moments. The film knows exactly when to throw in a joke to lighten the mood and when to punch you right smack in the face with some real gut-wrenching tragedy. It's a roller coaster ride, and let me tell you, you'll be laughing 1 minute and absolutely tearing up the next. Now, let's talk about Odd himself, because let's face it, the success of this movie rests entirely on Anton Yelchin's performance. Yelchin is fantastic in this role. He brings such a mix of charm, humor, and vulnerability to the character that you can't help but root for him the whole time. He's not your typical stoic action hero. He's a guy with real emotions, a slightly sarcastic sense of humor, and a genuine love for the people around him. And I think that's why I love this guy so much, because he loves the people in his community, and he's going to protect them. Yelchin plays him with this perfect balance of everyday relatability and supernatural badassery. He makes you believe that a guy like Odd really could exist. Someone who's just trying to live his life and do the right thing even when he's dealing with literal death every day. Yelchin's chemistry with Addison Timlin, who plays Odd's girlfriend, Stormy, I'm sensing a pattern here, some kind of a theme, if you will, is one of the highlights of this movie. Their relationship is sweet, funny, and refreshingly normal, considering that they live in a world of ghosts and impending doom. The banter between them feels genuine, and their love story gives the movie its emotional center. You can feel the warmth and affection between them in every scene that they share, which makes... We'll get to that later. Of course, it wouldn't be a supernatural thriller without some spooky antagonists, and Odd Thomas delivers on that front too. Odd doesn't just deal with your run-of-the-mill ghost, he's also got these creepy shadow creatures called Bodocs to worry about. Think of them as ghostly, spider-like monsters that show up whenever something really bad is about to happen. Like mass casualty level bad. These guys don't mess around. They don't attack Odd directly, but they're like the Grim Reaper's messed up cousins, who love hanging around death scenes. When Odd starts seeing an unusual number of them swarming his town, he knows something awful's about to go down, and of course it's up to him to stop it. Now here's where the movie gets interesting. Odd Thomas doesn't just deliver a supernatural detective story, it also delves into some darker and more tragic territory as well. Sure, Odd is dealing with ghosts and monsters and all that junk, but he's also dealing with the very real weight of trying to prevent disaster and protect the people that he loves. There's this growing sense of dread that just drags on throughout the film, and even though Odd cracks occasional jokes to keep things light on the surface, you can tell that underneath it all, he's carrying a huge emotional burden. This is a guy who's seen a lot of death, who's had to bear the responsibility of stopping terrible things from happening, and who knows that sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you can't save everyone. You know, it's impossible to watch this movie without thinking about what we lost when Anton Yelchin was taken from us. And his role in Odd Thomas is a perfect example of this young man's immense talent. He brought so much heart, humor, and sincerity to every role he played, and his portrayal of Odd is absolutely no exception. Yelchin's performance is a big part of why this film works so well. He is the emotional center, the beating heart of this weird, supernatural, weird world movie. It's a bittersweet experience watching him in this film now, knowing what happened to him. But it's also a reminder of how special this young man was and how privileged we all were to watch him for the brief period of time that we did. Thanks, Anton. So moving on from that somber moment, let's get back to the fun stuff. The villains in Odd Thomas are a weird bunch, to say the least. There's a man with a suspiciously greasy mustache, like I say, never trust the stash, a creepy, overly cheerful guy who collects bowling trophies, and a mysterious connection between all these Bodox sightings that Odd has to piece together. The film's pacing is quick and it keeps you on your toes as Odd unravels the mystery, trying to figure out who's behind this looming catastrophe and how to stop it before the time runs out on him. One of the best things about Odd Thomas is how it balances the supernatural elements with the very human ones. For every creepy Bodoc or ghostly encounter, there's a moment of genuine connection between Odd and Stormy, or Odd and his quirky sheriff friend Wyatt, who is played by Willem Dafoe, because of course he is! I guess Willem just loves playing weird law keepers or something. I don't know. I just watched Beetlejuice a few weeks ago, and now that's all in my head. It's just Willem Dafoe playing a television cop who's now an actual cop. This film never loses sight of the fact that at its core, this is a story about a guy who loves this town, loves his girl, and just wants to do the right thing, even if that means going up against forces way beyond his control. And then there's the ending. If you're expecting a neat, happy resolution, you're in for a shock. I'm not going to give it away, but let's just say the movie does not shy away from tragedy. And it does. It pulls the rug right out from underneath you in a way that is unexpected and completely heartbreaking. And yet, even in its darkest moments, Odd Thomas manages to hold on to its sense of humor, its warmth, and its heart. It's a tough balance to strike, but this movie does it perfectly. So Odd Thomas. It's a delightfully strange and unexpectedly moving film that deserves far more attention than it's gotten. And I sincerely hope a few of you out there watching this will immediately go to some kind of evil streaming service and rent it so you can see what I'm talking about. Anton Yelchin's performance is the heart and soul of this film, and it's a reminder of just how talented and irreplaceable he was. The movie's blend of supernatural weirdness, sharp humor, and poignant tragedy makes it a unique experience and one that's well worth your time. So if you're in the mood for something a little different, something that'll make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even tear up a little bit, give Odd Thomas a watch. You won't regret it. And dare I say, Odd Thomas is a rather odd addition to your 31 spooky movies of Halloween.